Good morning. My name is Crystal Fletcher. I'm a lieutenant with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department in the Public Affairs Division. Every quarter, CMPD provides this public safety briefing as part of our commitment to transparency, accountability, and collaboration with our community. Before we move into today's briefing, I'd like to acknowledge that this week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Our telecommunicators play a vital role in every emergency response, and later in the briefing, you'll hear more about their contributions and why their work is so essential to the safety of our community. We will also share crime statistics for the first quarter of 2026, which covers January 1st through March 31st. Throughout this briefing, you'll hear about several significant decreases compared to the same period in 2025. These numbers are more than statistics. They represent the progress we achieve through strong partnerships, the challenges we continue to face together, and the collective work that makes Charlotte safer. Transparency and collaboration are at the heart of our mission, and today's briefing is part of that commitment. Throughout the morning, you'll hear about strategies driving these reductions, the major operations underway, and the community-centered initiatives guiding our work in 2026. Thank you to everyone joining us, both in person and virtually. Your engagement reflects the shared responsibility of public safety, and we appreciate your partnership and support. To begin, we'll hear from Chief Estella D. Patterson, who will provide an overview of our crime trends and department accomplishments from the first quarter. Chief Patterson continues to lead with a focus on reducing violent crime and disorder, enhancing community engagement and collaboration, and strengthening employee wellness and morale. Chief.
Thank you, Lieutenant Fletcher. Well done. And thank you all for being here today, joining us on this day. I've said it a few times, but I'll say it again. It is great being back in Charlotte, and I am so honored to be the Chief of Police of CMPD. Before presenting our first quarter progress, I want to thank our officers and our professional staff. I always want to start there for the work that they do every single day, 24 hours a day. And especially to our telecommunicators. As you have heard, this is Telecommunicator Week. Without them, we don't even get the calls. We won't be able to do the work that we do, so I'm so grateful for each of them. And I also thank this community for trusting us, entrusting us with serving and with keeping Charlotte safe. Now, you might be wondering, why are we here today instead of at police headquarters where we typically do these briefings? Well, that's because our focus at CMPD is centered on being in the community, tackling crime, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to prevent crime in the first place from happening. We've been focusing heavily in our uptown area, our center city, as well as our south end, and our light rail. And so being here, I believe, is very fitting for the occasion. Now, here with me today are members of my team who work around the clock. They are committed to the safety of this community, and truly they are the engine that keeps the department moving forward. That's our deputy chiefs that are off to my right. Also, too, we have members of our community, partners, who are equally committed to making Charlotte the premier city that it is. And I publicly want to thank them and extend my appreciation to all of our guests who are here with us today for their tireless efforts. These are our partners. And with us today is Michael Smith, CEO and President of Center City Partners, also David Longo, who is on the board of our Metropolitan Transit Authority. We have Brent Cagle, who's our CEO with the Charlotte Area Transit System, CATS. We have, and I'm going to get back to here, but I also want to acknowledge Ricky Robbins, who is our Chief Deputy of Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office, Kevin Stone, who's a law enforcement chief at the Mecklenburg County ABC Board, and also Brian House, my good friend, who is the Director of North Carolina Alcohol Law Enforcement Division, came all the way from Raleigh to assist us, so thank you for this. Also, too, we have also Major Johnson and Sergeant Morales, which you will hear from in a little bit. I have repeatedly emphasized that strong partnerships are essential to the safety and vitality of our city, and the collaboration that we share with each of our community leaders and agency representatives is a critical part of the progress that we'll be discussing today. As we review the first quarter of 2026, I'm encouraged by the steady reductions in several key crime areas. In the first quarter of 2026, crime was down overall by 23%. This reflects meaningful progress across our community. Violent crime was also down by 18%, and property crime down by 23%. We also experienced reductions in the following areas. Our robberies showing a 26% decrease, aggravated assaults down 18%, vehicle thefts down 34%, and larceny from autos down 34% as well. Our burglaries were down 40%. Now, these reductions are only made possible by the collective efforts of proactive policing strategies and also daily engagement of our residents, our businesses, and organizations who work alongside us. While I am elated to see these reductions, because we had reductions in 2025 as well, and we're seeing the numbers go down in 2026, I must also acknowledge an area of concern. Despite our continued focus on violent crime reduction, homicides were up in the first quarter with 22 compared to 16 during the same time period in 2025. Of the 22 incidents, 18 were cleared by arrests, which is astonishing. We have an 82% clearance rate. 11 were situations where the suspect and the victim were known to one another. 4 involved situations where the relationship is unknown, and 2 were traffic-related incidents that resulted in fatalities. It is important that we acknowledge that these homicides are not just numbers. They represent lives that are lost, families that are grieving, and communities that will forever be impacted. I want you, the public, to know that we approach this challenge with urgency, with transparency, and a commitment to utilizing every single tool we have in our toolbox to help prevent violence from happening. Relying on the community is one of the most impactful tools that we have in law enforcement. A recent example of this of the community's help is the Cotswold assault investigation that occurred in March. On this date, officers responded to an assault with deadly weapon call in the 100 block of South Sharon Amity Road and located a female who had been assaulted in the parking lot of a grocery store. As the investigation progressed, our detectives worked to develop leads, and they sought the community's help in identifying the suspect and the vehicle that was involved in this incident. The response was significant. We received several tips from the community to move the case forward, including a Crime Stoppers tip that helped positively identify the suspect in this case. Through the continued work with our CMPD Providence Division detectives and the assistance of SLED, also the Florida Division of Law Enforcement and the Florida State Highway Patrol, the suspect, Marvina Marie Hardy, was located on March 30. She is currently in custody awaiting extradition to face charges that include assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and inflicting serious injury and battery of an unborn child. This case I highlighted because it really demonstrates the power of true community collaboration. We looked to the community to help us solve a crime, and they did it well, and so we're very happy with that. As a community member, you might be wondering how you can help prevent crime. I encourage you, if you see something, say something. And if something appears suspicious, please call 911. Also, too, if you have information about a crime, please call our Crime Stoppers number, and you can report it anonymously. Also, if you are a business owner, I always have to make a plug for this. If you are a business owner and you have a private camera system around, or you have a private camera around your residence, register that camera with us, with our Connect Charlotte platform. You can go to Connect Charlotte at connectcharlotte.org for more information. Now, this is a voluntary initiative to connect your cameras to our real-time crime center so that our detectives can have more information about crime when it happens. It's additional eyes and ears in the field for us. When residents come forward and law enforcement agencies work together, we can solve cases more efficiently, and we can continue to build safety and trust across our city. Now, building on that partnership, strategic operations and other police and law enforcement agencies, they can work together. They become key drivers to the progress that we are seeing. Following the success of last year's Operation Safe Season, which I have spoken about, we launched Queen City Safe. That's an initiative that focuses on areas experiencing crime in our community. We have held monthly Queen City Safe operations across the city, targeting known areas of crime activity and chronic quality of life concerns. We are educating where we can, but we are also taking proactive enforcement measures of statutes and ordinances that are being violated. We are taking enforcement action. With our partners, many of whom are up here with me, but also too with our federal partners and our highway patrol, we have had 3 Queen City Safe initiatives already this year. And from January to March, our deployments have netted 425 traffic stops, 139 citations, 70 arrests, 33 firearms seized from the streets of Charlotte, and approximately 3,317 grams of suspected illegal narcotics. As we move further into 2026, our commitment will remain unchanged. We will continue conducting these operations throughout our jurisdiction. Consistent with that commitment, we continue to strengthen our partnerships with partners such as CATS as we work together to improve safety on our transit systems. Increased off-duty staffing, dedicated hirebacks, and quicker response times have contributed to noticeable decrease in crime on transit. Off-duty CMPD officers have staffed 3,741 shifts, 3,741 shifts on CATS transportation, with a total of 18,807 hours worked year to date. When speaking specifically about the CATS Blue Line, Part 1 offenses on this particular transportation system dropped by 69% in the first quarter compared to the same period last year. This is another example of targeted staffing and strong collaboration that is producing measurable outcomes. In line with that continued effort, we are in the process of expanding where our community policing crisis response team, CPCRT team, is working. This expansion includes adding CPCRT clinicians to our Central Division walking patrols to help those experiencing mental health crises, substance abuse, and abuse challenges, as well as behavioral health concerns. We believe that these efforts will reduce repeat calls for service by connecting these individuals to long-term support, and it also embodies our commitment of compassionate, community-driven policing. As we look ahead to the warmer months, we will continue to proactively coordinate with the City of Charlotte departments as well as Mecklenburg County departments. We will also work with local businesses and property owners, event organizers, and hospitality partners. These conversations will ensure we're fully prepared when events of any scale come to Charlotte, and it will allow our officers to remain visible throughout public spaces, forcing not only our response, but preventing issues from happening when they occur. As stated previously, public safety is a shared responsibility, and together we are making Charlotte safer, stronger, and more connected. We are moving closer to being the safest large city in the nation. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Sergeant Edwin Morales, who will share a little bit about our strategies, our partnerships, and our initiatives driving the work that we are doing here in Center City. Sarge.
Good morning, and thank you, Chief. My name is Edwin Morales. I serve as a sergeant here in the Central Division over the Entertainment District Unit, otherwise known as EDU. Before discussing initiatives behind numbers you'll hear today, I want to recognize all our officers across all divisions. These men and women are out every day, walking beats, responding to calls, and building meaningful relationships with residents. Their commitment to visibility, engagement, and prevention continues to drive the reductions we're seeing. Crime is down, our strategies are working, and our partnerships across the city have never been stronger. We are seeing meaningful reductions in crime in Central Division, with overall violent crime down 20%, homicides down 50%, and property crime down 29% compared to the same period in 2025. These improvements directly reflect our strategic decision last year to realign resources, refine deployment, and strengthen proactive policing models in high-demand areas. As we prepare for the summer entertainment season, our focus remains clear. visibility, collaboration, and prevention. One particular unit producing strong results in this entertainment district, in this area, is the Entertainment District Unit, launched October 4th, 2025. This specialized unit enhances safety in Uptown and South End nightlife corridors through high visibility, early intervention, and strong collaboration with our nightlife operators. In the first quarter of 2026 alone, the EDU has conducted 874 traffic stops, made 157 arrests, seized 93 firearms, and recovered approximately 2,896 grams of suspected illegal narcotics. These results show how preventative, partnership-driven strategies improve safety in our busiest entertainment areas. Proactive policing strategies can have immeasurable impacts, especially when repeat offenders are involved. To highlight some of these, on January 22nd, EDU officers were patrolling the Trade and Tryon Streets corridor and observed a vehicle displaying a fictitious license plate in an area known for high narcotics activities. Officers made contact with the vehicle and the driver, Jawan Quadarius McElwain, 27 years of age, who had an outstanding warrant for assault on a female. Officers took him into custody for that warrant. Our CMPD homicide detectives determined McElwain was a suspect in a January 14th homicide in the Central Division and were able to charge him while he remained in custody. The strategic deployment of EDU continues to enhance safety in high-traffic entertainment districts, protecting patrons, effectively diffusing potential volatile situations. Another highlight, on March 7th, officers responded to the West 4th Street area based on information that a masked and armed subject was in the area. Officers located the subject on South Graham Street amid large crowds gathered for the Charlotte FC soccer match. Following a brief foot pursuit, officers safely apprehended the individual without incident. The subject was found to be in possession of a stolen firearm as well as multiple suspected illegal narcotics. Andre Lee Coleman, 22 years of age, faces 7 charges total. Among the charges are possession of a stolen firearm, carrying a concealed weapon, possession with intent to sell and deliver a Schedule 6 controlled substance, which is marijuana, resist, delay, obstruct. This incident highlights how proactive presence, rapid response, and professionalism of EDU officers prevented a potentially dangerous situation in a densely populated area. In addition to the success of the Entertainment District Unit, I want to highlight another major partnership-driven effort started in the fourth quarter of 2025. The Crown Culture Initiative, which stands for Center City's Restoration of Order, Wellness, and Nonviolence. Crown is a focused, high-impact effort centered on restoring order and improving quality of life through elevated police presence, strict enforcement, and critically, close collaboration with our community partners. Focused on activity in the half-mile radius of Trade and Tryon Streets, we know as a square, the Crown approach balances accountability with compassion. Officers are enforcing quality of life laws, including illegal street vending, disorderly conduct, and public disturbances. Officers are also connecting individuals to supportive services through partners such as CARES Team, Our Roof Above, and Hearts of the Invisible. The goal of this initiative, much like the work of the EDU, is to restore public confidence, reduce crime, and reinforce safe, livable streets across our most active areas. In the first quarter of 2026, Crown interactions resulted in 1,000 457 traffic stops, 288 arrests, 102 firearms seized, and approximately 3,489 grams of suspected illegal narcotics recovered. Ultimately, Crown strengthens public order while maintaining our commitment to the community engagement, compassionate intervention, and partnership-based problem solving, all key components of our department's priorities. I'd like to now turn it over to Major Dave Johnson to discuss the critical work underway in our communications division and the improvements supporting our emergency response.
Thank you, Sergeant Morales. Great job. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dave Johnson. I am the major over the Administrative Services Bureau here at CMPD, which includes our communications division, and I want to thank you all for being here. The efforts and successes that we share today are only possible because of the people who support every call, every officer, and every incident from behind the scenes. It only seems fitting to recognize our incredible telecommunicators as this week we celebrate National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. Every day, our telecommunicators are the steady, reassuring voices on the other end of the line when someone calls for help, when anyone calls 911 for help. They are truly the first responders, the heroes behind the badge. Before an officer is dispatched, before fire or medic arrive, before any emergency response begins, it starts with them. Telecommunicators are a crucial part of modern policing. Our telecommunicators gather critical information in real time, guide callers through moments of crisis, and ensure officers have the details they need to respond safely and effectively. Their ability to remain calm under pressure directly impacts the safety of both officers and our public. They're also a lifeline for officers in the field. Telecommunicators track officers, monitor rapidly changing situations, and provide constant updates and support. This partnership is essential to keeping our Charlotte community safe. Our telecommunicators hear trauma, fear, and uncertainty every single day. They carry the emotional weight of the calls they take, yet they continue to show up with professionalism, compassion, and resilience, and for that, we sincerely thank them. Their work may be done behind the scenes, but their impact is felt in every neighborhood across Mecklenburg County. And that impact is reflected in the results. We're proud to share that here at CMPD, over 90% of calls made to 911 are answered in 10 seconds or less, which is in line with the national standards. In fact, the average time to answer in the first quarter of this year, we're proud to report, stands at 4.05 seconds, which is down significantly from the 2025 average of 16.8 seconds. These improvements show just how hard our telecommunicators are working. But with Charlotte's rapid growth, the pressure on our 911 system shows no signs of letting up. In 2025, there were close to 1 million total calls to 911. To keep pace, we must make sure our facilities and technology can support the sometimes overwhelming call volume that we receive. You may know that the City of Charlotte recently generously approved a multi-million-dollar expansion and renovation of CMPD's 911 call center at our headquarters building. This project will modernize and expand the current operations hub with major upgrades to critical systems and updated operator consoles. These improvements are designed to increase telecommunicator capacity and provide an improved working environment for our employees. This expansion reflects the city's commitment to strengthening the public safety infrastructure and ensuring our telecommunicators have the tools, the space, and the technology they need to support our incredibly high call volume. The work of our communications team is essential, and investing in them is investing in the safety of our entire community. In addition to these significant investments to improve working conditions, CMPD has also made investments in career progression and overall job satisfaction of our telecommunications professionals. These efforts ensure that we are strengthening both our emergency response system and the people who support it. We introduced a new telecommunicator trainee role. creating a clearer and more supportive career path for new hires entering the profession. To recognize experience and encourage advancement, we instituted a 5% pay increase that's awarded when moving from trainee to telecommunicator 1, and this usually takes place within the first year of employment. After 2 years at that level, telecommunicator 1 employees receive a 10% pay increase when they're promoted to telecommunicator 2. And then telecommunicator 2s can receive an additional 5% incentive if they choose to become trainers, strengthening and rewarding our in-house training and support system. Additionally, in November 2025, we transitioned telecommunicators from 5 8-hour shifts to 4 10-hour shifts. This schedule change was designed to improve work-life balance and give our employees more valuable time to recover between shifts. These changes reflect CMPD's commitment to supporting the critical work that our telecommunicators do every day. As we continue investing in the people that keep our department CMPD strong, recruiting and retaining high-quality candidates remains a top priority for our agency. We continue targeted recruitment efforts to fill sworn vacancies and to support staffing needs in the Communications Division. We're working to remove barriers, answer applicant questions early, and provide clear pathways for new candidates interested in public safety careers. CMPD has strengthened hiring incentives to attract police officers, with a $7,500 hiring bonus for new police officers that was established in 2022, and a newly implemented $5,000 internal referral bonus launched just this February makes every CMPD employee a recruiter. The message I want to leave you with is this: for anyone that has a heart for service and is interested in a career in criminal justice, and maybe you don't meet the age requirement to be a police officer, or maybe you're not quite sure about or ready to become a police officer, becoming a telecommunicator is a fantastic way to get started on an incredibly rewarding career and serve your community at the same time. For both sworn and professional staff, we encourage any and all that are interested to visit joincmpd.com. That's joincmpd.com, where they can explore open positions, learn about the hiring process, and understand the many career paths available within CMPD. That concludes my comments. I'd now like to invite Lieutenant Fletcher back to the podium to wrap up the press conference. Lieutenant Fletcher, thank you.
Thank you, Major Johnson. So now we will open it up to questions. We'll be taking a few questions for our speakers here today. I ask that you please raise your hand and let me call on you so that we can have some order. Who would be next? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Jesse, WCMC. I know youth crime and repeat offenders have always been kind of like an issue here. Can we talk about where we stand with youth crime and what's being done to, I guess,
Yes, so that is something that we're very serious about. So our JADE unit, I think you've heard of that, our Juvenile Accountability Unit. It's composed of officers who go out and talk to our youth, but particularly those who might be kind of on a path of crime. If they commit crimes, they go along, they talk to that individual. They also do follow-ups, help them to make sure they get to court, and just stay with that individual, because we recognize that when our youth commit crimes, that oftentimes they continue down the path of crime. So we want to prevent that cycle as much as possible. So our JADE unit has been established for that. But just even beyond that, we want to make sure that our youth are not idle. We know with the summer months coming up, they're going to be out of school. That's the prime time when they start to get in trouble. So we have a lot of programming that we are doing within the police department, also with our Department of Youth Opportunities with the city, and then also to external partners. For instance, we have a camp that we're partnering with Johnson C. Smith, where we're going to be sending some of our youth. Our officers are very specific, our SROs, about identifying who these potential youth are that might get into trouble, and just trying to work repeatedly to touch them, to work with them, to make sure that they are not committing crimes. We know that's an area of high concern, and we're committed to doing what we can from our side to help prevent crime in that area.
WBTV, two-pronged questions on the homicide statistics. First question, are you able to talk a little bit more about the demographics of the suspects and victims that we're seeing, and then some of the causes as well? I know you mentioned the victims and suspects are often known to each other. Is this indicating fights gone wrong, domestic situations? What are we seeing this year so far?
Yeah,
Yeah, of course. And so I don't have the demographics with you. We can get that information to you. What we are seeing, particularly with the cases that we know the relationship between the suspect and the victim, are domestic violence incidents, intimate partner relationships. One of our homicides involved family members, a father and a son type situation. We're not seeing necessarily that we know of where there's like gang activity and that kind of thing, where there's repeated retaliation and that kind of thing. It appears that most of our homicides, the victim and the suspect, were known to one another.
We'll take our last question here with Tina.
I have a question about the clinicians. Is that response team 24 hours or is that just a day shift availability?
So our CPCRT team, I think that you're talking about, they work first and second shift hours, and then they're available on call during the night. If somebody has a crisis or a situation, an officer can make a call to them, and they'll come out.
Okay, at this time, do we have any questions for our partners who have joined us here today? Yes, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff with the Charlotte Observer. I had a question about CMPD and CATS. Is that, with CMPD officer being on patrol off duty, is that targeted to certain stations or line rides that they're on, or can you tell me more about how that works?
Yeah. So again, it's many hours. It's averaging over 1,400 hours a week of off-duty. They are primarily looking at two things. One, the blue line, clearly as our security works with them to understand hotspots, we focus on those. But blue line, the rail trail and platforms, as well as the bus system, again, using the data to look at where we believe there are hotspots and deploy those officers in their off-duty capacity throughout the system, bus and rail.
Any other questions for our partners?
So I know CMPD has shared a couple of different things with traffic, working with Mecklenburg County Sheriff and so forth. Is there any other partnerships or initiatives you guys are doing to like fight crime working together?
Chief Deputy wants to come up. So I am very committed to working with our partners. I will talk about mainly our federal partners. We know that a lot of times cases, sometimes, I shouldn't say a lot of times, I should say sometimes cases are dismissed on the state level, or there's charges that can be levied on a federal level, which has a higher penalty. So we work with our federal partners to look at those kinds of cases, particularly cases that have a drug nexus or have a gun nexus. We know that we're limited sometimes in our capacity just on the state level. So when we can have cases that can go federally, we do that. And we have officers on all our federal task force across our department, and so we utilize them to the best of our ability in that area.
Last question for our partners.
In regards to the entertainment and sports and activity for the LGBTQ group, is there any delays in payments? I know in the past there was reports where, like with the Panthers, the payment for the officers wasn't getting there soon, or with the staffing. Are there any concerns with those things?
Yeah, so that is the question I do not have an answer for. We'll certainly look into that. Nothing has been reported to me, but we'll look into that. And thank you for asking. All right. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Lieutenant.
Yes, thank you, Chief. Thank you to all of our speakers and to all of our partners who joined us here today. We really appreciate it. All the information that we shared will be sent out in a press release and on our social media channels. If you need the spellings of the speakers' names, they are on the TVs beside us here. And I know some of you may have not gotten your questions answered. Our public affairs team will stand by and answer those questions for you if we can. Thank you.